Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, the New York Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the New York Mets. Buy cash for life from the New York Lottery. You can win $1,000 a day for life. By GMC, see the pros at your local GMC dealer. GMC, we are professional grade. And by Good Humor, the official ice cream of the New York Mets. In the final scene of our Hollywood film, our hero says goodbye to Los Angeles, goodbye to Hollywood and the pristine beaches, goodbye to all that the West Coast has to offer. Heading back to the East Coast, where friendlier climes and home awaits. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Los Angeles. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets close out their road trip with the rubber game of 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Last night, Jay Bruce played first base. It's an experiment through September to see how he'll fare going into next season. The returns right now for Jay are good and bad.
Well, when I think about it, I mean, no one respects Jay Bruce more than I do, the way that he has conducted himself, what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. A 2-run home run, a base hit later. The only issue is that at some point he's going to get a grade for how he plays defense at first base. And I think it's going to be very hard to kind of come up with a grade on how he does this September. He let a pop-up fall in right before the dugout, and then later in the game was really late to cut off a ball coming in on the Taylor double. So it's one of those things, first basemen probably have thousands and thousands of repetitions to try to learn the position. He has about 100.
And Jay was out early today, did a lot of repetitions before the game. He will not start in tonight's game. Meanwhile, Zach Wheeler goes to the mound for the Mets. His pitching the last 2 months has been phenomenal.
You know, it's been a joy to watch. If you ask him, he says, I'm just finally healthy. Well, healthy he is. Since the All-Star break, he is 6-1. His ERA is 1.19, and that's what he did in his last start, despite taking the loss.
Took a 7-game winning streak into that start against the Giants. That came to an end. Meanwhile, Hyun-Jin Ryu has trouble staying on the field, but when he does pitch, his results have been very impressive.
And you can see his results against the Mets are always impressive. He has also been 3-1. The Dodgers 5-1 in his starts since he's come off the DL from a groin strain.
So it's the Mets and Dodgers for the final time in the twilight in L.A. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. checking account, don't pick one out of left field. People's United Bank, member FDIC. By PC Richard & Son, the official appliance, electronics, and mattress retailer of the New York Mets. And by Nationwide, speak with Rich Grillo in Massapequa or James Finaro and Bethpage today. Get to Citi Field for Free Shirt Friday this Friday when the Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets t-shirt courtesy of Ruby's Costume Company. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Drive Around the Majors presented by Cadillac. Something happened today that had not happened all year. Major League Baseball teams were 487-0 with a 6-run lead after 7 innings. Not anymore. Red Sox tied it in the 7th. Freddie Freeman put the Braves in front in the bottom of the 8th. And then Brandon Phillips, first game with the Red Sox, first player to wear 0 in Red Sox history. 2 out, top of the 9th, 2-run homer. Red Sox beat the Braves 9-8. Worst loss of the year for Atlanta. Their lead's down to 2.5 over the Phillies in the National League East. Lovely day in LA. Mets and Dodgers for the final time. First pitch coming up. Rosario's had a great road trip. Brandon Nimmo sitting 8th again. He has revved it up, coming back from the disabled list. Mets are 4-4 on the trip. Chance for a winning trip if they can beat Hyun-Jin Ryu this late afternoon in Los Angeles.
Ryu was real good in his last start. Those are his Toyota numbers, stops and starts this year. But his last start against the Diamondbacks, no decision, but only 4 hits and a couple of runs and 7 innings pitched.
It's 3.5 months with a groin injury. When, you know, being on the disabled list is certainly no new thing for Ryu. He missed 2 years after undergoing labrum surgery, but when he pitches, he is very hard to beat. Rosario takes the first pitch for a strike, and we're underway. Ahmed, in the 7 games he's played on this road trip, 14 hits, hitting .438 on the trip. He's got his on-base percentage up to a season-high .296. And he nubs the changeup foul, and it's 0-2.
Defensively, we've seen a different lineup every day for Dave Roberts' Dodgers. Grandal behind the plate. Dozier at second base. Max Muncy playing first base. Alex Verdugo gets the start in right field, just called up from Oklahoma City.
0-2 to Rosario leading off. And he takes inside from Ryu, 1-2. Rosario 5 for 8 in this series. Jeff McNeil on deck, and then Wilmer Flores in the opening inning. Mets won the opening game of this series 4-2 behind Brandon Nimmo's heroics, and then took an early lead yesterday, only to see the Dodgers come back against the Mets bullpen.
Interesting crowd here at Dodger Stadium for this unusual 4:30 during the week game. Small crowd.
Well, if you're wondering why they're playing at this hour, there are new rules in the collective bargaining agreement that if a team is traveling a certain distance, you have to play a day game, which is defined as anything before 5 o'clock local time. And so the Dodgers were compelled to play early, but they don't like to play 1 o'clock games, so they split the difference and they're playing at 4:30, which works out perfectly for the folks back in New York. They get a 7:30 start.
Nice.
It's just like it's an East Coast kind of a game. Mets will be back at home on Friday night to open his long opening at bat for Rosario, and he grounds one down to third. Charging is Turner. The off balance throw, close play, safe. Rosario just got to the bag for an infield hit to start the game.
We were talking before about his energy that he has been bringing it the last couple of months, and here tops this ball to third base. I don't think Turner could have done anything different to get the ball over there, and the first base umpire Jim Reynolds with the safe call.
And the Dodgers are going to challenge it, and they may get this overturned. Muncy appeared to have the ball in his glove a split second before Rosario's foot hit the bag, and so on the first play of the game we have a challenge. So it goes into the hands of Jerry Davis and Dana DeMuth. They have their crews in the replay center.
I'm laughing inside, Gary.
No, you were actually laughing outside.
Sorry.
It seeped out.
Sorry about that.
And it does appear as though Muncy has the ball before Rosario's foot hits the bag.
You know what's taken away here is the other look. Watch where the ball is in the glove. Foot's just about to touch. What's lost in these replays or missed calls by Jim Reynolds, the first base umpire, how good a play that was from Justin Turner, but it'll get lost in the shuffle because of this nonsense.
Don't understand why it's taking so long. And they do reverse the call. And so that's the first out of the game.
I love, first let's look at the play by Turner. I mean, the charge with two hands and the accurate throw to first. That's about as hard as it gets with a guy with speed. You know what I love after the replay is that the umpires look at Rosario and like punch him out, like assertively, like you're out. Well, you could have done that 2 minutes ago.
So 1 out and nobody on, and now Jeff McNeil 1 for 5 in this series. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Mark Wegner, the crew chief, calling the balls and strikes today. Jim Reynolds, who just got his call overturned. John Tumpane and Jeremy Rehack, the base umpires. I've seen something rather interesting lately with the umpires, particularly on the bases. Ronnie, tell me if you share this.
Yeah.
I think umpires are second-guessing themselves as they make calls on close plays.
I used to always blame myself. Late in my career, I used to have a thing I used to call double think, where I knew what pitch to throw, and I would think myself into the second pitch to throw.
McNeil skies one to center, and Bellinger waits for it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would go, okay, fastball away, that's the pitch. But wait a minute, maybe he's thinking fastball away. Let me throw something soft inside. So I'd get myself into the wrong place. I'd be right in the middle. And to me, I see the same things.
And I think, you have to believe when you have that review process looking over your shoulder, it makes you think twice about what you're seeing, and you're almost thinking about how it's going to look on replay instead of instinctually calling the play.
Trusting your talent,
Here's Wilmer Flores with 2 out. And he takes a strike. Wilmer's 2 for 9 in the series. Mets have never had much luck against Ryu. 5 career starts, 3-0, 1.69 against New York. Means the Yanks foul 0-2.
You know where I think I see it sometimes, Gary, and I don't know if this is true, just from what I watch, is that ball that they're not sure is a home run, they will call it in play. So that way the play will continue, and then if it's reviewed and it's a home run, no harm, no foul.
Right. That way you don't have the issue of where to place the base runner, because the play will have played itself out.
Again, I don't know that. Just, you know.
I just think there are so many things that play into it from a human nature standpoint when you add this layer of scrutiny, whether you like the replay system or not. Here's the 1-2 coming, and it's on the outside corner. Flores caught looking, and Ryu has himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. Zach Wheeler heads to the mound when we come back. Manny Machado, who looked like he might have had something going on last night when he got taken out of the game, so he is sitting. So Kike Hernandez gets a start at shortstop as the Dodgers just keep rolling out fresh waves of starting lineup talent.
I mean, it's like a all-star team. Land Rover numbers for Zach Wheeler. I told you in the open, 6-1 after the All-Star break, 1.19. He had one of his worst starts here last year. Different Wheeler now.
Jock Peterson takes outside for ball 1. Probably the worst start of his career. Lasted 2 innings, gave up 3 home runs, 7 earned runs in the 2 innings. The only time he's ever pitched here. He faced the Dodgers earlier this season, shut him out for the first 6, and then gave up a grand slam to Cody Bellinger that ruined his day. He's behind on Peterson 2-0. Alex Verdugo on deck, and then Justin Turner for the Dodgers. And Peterson pops one foul, 2-1.
So we didn't see the shadows play a big part in the first game with DeGrom starting. And interesting, the Mets hitters looked a little befuddled by Ryu, but big cut there by Peterson.
Interesting, though, it's not as bright as it normally is. There are some clouds overhead. And Wheeler gets the fastball in at the knees for a strike, 2-2. And Mark Wegner appears to have a rather large strike zone for this late afternoon tilt. Gave Ryu some room on the corners, and now Wheeler's curveball is pulled foul.
Defensively for the Mets, you can see in the infield, Flores back at first, McNeil back at second base. In the outfield, Nimmo, who's had a nice series, in right field.
2-2 to Peterson, and he struck him out. So Wheeler fans Peterson to start his day.
Looked like the split change there, Gary. a lot of fastballs, one slider, and then the split finger, nasty.
Help me with this because I'm already stumbling across it, Ronnie. It's a 4:30 start in L.A. It's a 7:30 start in New York. Is it today? Is it tonight?
It's tonight because the people that are watching us are in the evening. So tonight.
Even though we're very much in the daylight. Alex Verdugo takes a fastball for a strike.
We're going back home, so.
Also, we're already adjusting to Eastern time.
Yes, all right.
Verdugo 2 for 5 in this series. Spent most of this year in the minor leagues. 91 games in Oklahoma City. He hit .329 with 10 home runs. And there's the splitter, and Verdugo swings over at 1-2. Well, since the All-Star break, you make the argument Wheeler's been even better than DeGrom.
That's right.
He's been so hot. Last start allowed just a run in 7 innings against the Giants. Weekly hit back. It's always fun watching an athlete reach his epiphany.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I think Keith asked him when Keith and I were together and we were talking to Wheeler one day. All three of us were together, in fact. And Keith asked him, how is he feeling? And he said, you know what, I'm healthy for the first time. And I know, you know, that's really important to a pitcher, especially a young man that missed 2 years. He feels like he can not only pitch at his best in the game, but work on his craft in between starts, which he couldn't do.
Here's Justin Turner. Turner has a double and a home run in this series, and he has a home run in 5 career at-bats against Wheeler. Hit one in that start that Zach made here last year. Remember that entire series, the Dodgers were just bombarding the Mets with home runs. They swept a 4-game series. Mets had lost 12 straight to the Dodgers before they beat him here on Monday. And Wheeler pours the fastball in for a strike, and it's 0-2.
He has been unafraid, even more than Jacob deGrom, to pitch the right-handers inside.
Bounces the curveball 1-2. Zach is at 161 innings, which seems like a lot because, you know, he only threw fewer than 90 innings in the previous 3 years combined. But if you go back to his last full season in 14, he threw 185 innings that year. And the plan is for him to ride it out this year, to make every start and finish the season.
Yeah, you have to get him ready for you know, to continue what he's been doing. Why would you ever shut a guy down who's in the middle of the best streak he's ever had in his career?
Teams do that these days, you know.
For love.
On the outside corner, Turner caught looking at a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and Wheeler has an impressive 1-2-3 first with a couple of strikeouts. No score.
It's now time for 60 years of
right on the cusp of downtown LA. Todd Frazier leads off the second inning and takes up and away from Hyunjin Ryu. Frazier 2 for 7 in this series, had a single and a double last night, both against the left-hander Rich Hill, which is encouraging for Frazier, who struggled against lefties all year. Now hitting 172 against left-handers, and he hits one in the air to left field. Jock Peterson moves in under it. 1 out. Well, some horrible news down the coast from here, and the Angels found out today that Shohei Ohtani, their spectacular two-way rookie star, will probably need Tommy John surgery, which will take him out of pitching for all of next year, and who knows what it means for his hitting career as well.
Well, they knew earlier in the year when he went on the DL that his ligament was compromised, but I guess this is new damage as it reads.
He made the one start, worked into the third inning, and his velocity dropped precipitously from the start of the game. He was throwing 98, and by the finish he was throwing 88, which kind of was an alarm signal. Conforto takes a breaking ball for a strike, and I guess it will raise the question of whether his two-way status imperils him more than would have been had they chosen one path or another.
Well, it's so difficult when you've got, you know, probably the most unique talent on the planet. That's what they had, and it was hard for them to make that decision one way or the other. But I think moving forward, and we all were talking with Kevin Burkhardt, our buddy, last night, I think moving forward he's going to become an everyday player.
Well, he's a guy capable of hitting, 35 home runs. He can run like the wind. He even hit a home run against a lefty the other day.
That's
first time he had done that. Speaking of hitting home runs against the lefty, Michael Conforto did that last night. He now has 8 of his 21 home runs against left-handers. It's really been one of the bright spots of Michael's season, is the way he has been able to hit against lefties, particularly lately.
It'll be interesting when this season's all done. What, 24 games or so? It'll be interesting when Michael is asked what he thought of his season this year. I mean, really take a keen eye to it and what he thought and what he has to do moving forward.
I mean, certainly the results have been better the second half of the season. He's got 21 home runs now. That's a respectable number. His on-base percentage has remained in a good place. He's drawn a lot of walks. But the totality of his season obviously is less than he or the Mets would have hoped for.
Yeah.
So, when he looks back on the injury that he had to overcome, which took him away from preparing the way he might have wanted to for the season, as Ryu gets him with a changeup for the second out. Does that become the overriding theme? I didn't have my offseason. This year I'll have my offseason. That'll make all the difference.
Well, I think that's certainly going to help. You don't usually see that kind of pitch, lefty on lefty crime with the changeup. Very nice pitch by Ryu. I think that'll be part of the narrative, but also, there's certainly some parts of his game that he's going to have to take a good hard look at, and that is the ability to use the entire field. I know he has tremendous power, but he has tremendous power everywhere. And when he had his best year, we used to marvel day in and day out at the left center field's home run. Does he want to be that kind of player? Or does he want to be what we do every night when we show you the pie charts, use only half the field?
Well, I mean, he has that choice, right? I mean, we saw what happened to Lucas Duda's career, right? When Lucas first came up, he was a guy who could hit for power to all fields and became a dead pull hitter to his detriment. So does Michael make the adjustment back to being the all-field hitter who can still hit 25, 30 home runs a year, or not? 2-1 to Austin Jackson.
I think, does he make the decision to be one kind of hitter or a complete player? That's, I think, the decision for me.
I mean, if you look at his home run spray chart from the first 3 years of his career, it is almost evenly distributed line to line. Jackson flies one out to right field, and Verdugo is there to put it away. 6 up and 6 down for Ryu. No score in the second in LA. Moment this season, get New York Mets home screen icons and features such as MLB.tv Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Home second inning, Max Muncy leads off against Zach Wheeler, who struck out 2 in the first and pours a fastball in at the knees for a strike. Muncy 0 for 4 in this series, tied for second in the National League in home runs with 31 despite just 335 at bats. Only Matt Carpenter has hit more. Carpenter at 35 home runs. By the way, speaking of Cardinals and home runs, the Cardinals are playing in Washington tonight. In the first inning, Matt Adams, who the Nationals basically handed back to the Cardinals, hit a 3-run homer off Tanner Roark.
Take that.
And it's 5-0 St. Louis in the third.
Roark's got to be steaming.
On the inside corner, well, Mark Wegner is calling everything a strike early in this game. Wheeler's got his third strikeout.
Center fielder, number 35.
Much where it's in our pitch cast. I tell people this all the time. The hitters always want to, when they're complaining about umpire, they want to go to the robotic umpire. They are going to complain like you've never seen them complain when that pitch is called consistently, because it's not.
So you're saying the robot umpires would call more strikes?
More strikes.
Good. Here's Cody Bellinger with 1 out. There's nothing that is better for the game than that umpires call strikes.
I agree.
Moves the game along. It forces hitters to swing the bat. It creates more action.
Makes pitchers throw strikes. Makes them more aggressive.
Bellinger has been Wheeler's kryptonite. Last year, Bellinger hit 2 home runs in Wheeler's abbreviated start here. And then earlier this year, Bellinger hit a grand slam against Wheeler at Citi Field. 5 career at bats, 3 home runs. Wheeler leans it back, 1-2.
Purpose pitch by Zach there.
What's it like when you know that, right?
Oh.
That the guy's taking your yard with regularity.
On both sides of it, because for the pitcher, you've got to think of a new way to get him out, because obviously what you have seen from the scouting report, what you're trying to do is not working. He's on the same page and clicking into what you're trying to do, or you just made mistakes every time you faced him.
I mean, there's another piece to that too. In many ways, Zach is a different pitcher now than he was for those previous 5 at bats.
But the hitter feels like he's playing golf downwind. He feels great against the pitcher.
On the outside corner, got him looking. And Wheeler has 4 strikeouts through the first 5 batters. 3 of them on called third strikes.
So now he has struck a hitter out on the split finger. He's struck out 2 hitters on 97 and 98. And now he's hit a backdoor slider right on the corner of our pitch cast, which is 100% accurate at all times.
What you're saying is it's 100% strikes all the time. Here's Yasmani Grandal, and he fouls off a first pitch fastball. Grandal 1 for 4 in this series, but he's driven in 3 runs. He had a 2-run single in that 6-run 7th, where the Dodgers broke the game open last night, and he flies this one to shallow left. A long run in for Conforto, and he gets there to put it away side retired. Each pitcher's gone perfectly through the first 2 innings. No score as we go to the third. coastline. No more sunsets over the water. No more Malibu. No more Santa Monica Pier.
You know, that coastline is supposed to be open to everyone, Gary. Very democratic. Shouldn't be able to keep people off the beach. Anyone should be able to go anywhere.
Ronnie, there's nobody there. Obviously, they're not doing a good job keeping it open.
We don't even know when that shot was taken. That might have been before people crossed the Mississippi.
Tommy Lasorda staying on the right side. Kevin Plawecki leads off in the third inning, and Ryu misses up and away for ball one. Plawecki 0 for 4 last night. He had himself a rough night at the plate, a rough night behind the plate. Looking to bounce back today. And Ryu gets the curveball over for a strike, 1-1. Plawecki had that wild pitch that plated Manny Machado from second base. Found out today that he was crossed up on the pitch, was expecting a fastball, got a breaking ball, and it's almost like he was stunned and didn't go after the ball as quick as he could.
Yeah, so that one's on me. I didn't know it was a cross-up. I just thought that he was kind of lazy to the ball. I think what happened then is that he was crossed up. He was like, hey, Corey, what are you doing? But then forgot that there was a runner on second base who was, Machado, who was hustling.
Funny thing about that play from the Dodgers standpoint is that before it happened, when Machado got to second base, Dave Roberts wanted to take Machado out for a pinch runner. Machado waved him off, scored from second on the wild pitch, and then he came out of the game. And he's not playing tonight.
Hasn't played since.
Plawecki fouls off the curveball. Brandon Nimmo on deck, then Zach Wheeler for the Mets as they look to get something started against Ryu, who's making just his 11th start of the year. He's made 4 starts since coming back from the DL in the middle of August. He's 1-1, 2.38 over that span. And again, it mirrors his entire career. He doesn't get to the mound much, but when he does, he's been enormously successful. And he strikes out Plawecki with a fastball. 7 up and 7 down for Ryu with 3 strikeouts, and that brings us to StatCast AI powered by Amazon Web Services. Look at this. Swings and misses on 4-seam fastballs. Now you expect that from the guys who throw hard like DeGrom, Scherzer, Buehler, Velasquez.
Yeah.
But look at the velocity for Ryu, and yet he is right in that same group as far as percentage of swings and misses.
The difference is these first 4 guys pump in 4-seam fastballs all game long. What's great about Ryu when he's at his best is that he really changes and mixes speeds up so well that when he gets ahead of you and you've been seeing slow stuff, he'll surprise you with that 4-seam fastball.
Throws his fastball just 37% of the time, and he moves Nimmo back. Ball and a strike.
I mean, he really knows his craft, and like you said, Gary, just can't stay on the mound.
Nimmo's 3 for 5 in this series, including his pinch hit 3-run homer that won the game Monday night. And he takes a changeup for a strike. Well, Ryu has certainly demonstrated he has no fear of throwing that changeup inside to the left-hand hitters. He did to Conforto, and now he's done the same to Nimmo. There are the career numbers for Ryu. That's 91 starts, by the way, over 6 years.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of his career as he strikes out Nimmo for the second out.
That's the same thing that happened to Plawecki. Another 4-seam fastball that gets ahead. He just threw a changeup, boom, right up in the strike zone by him. I mean, that is his MO. Ryu has 91 starts. Zach Wheeler 92.
Wheeler's got 8 hits this year. Best offensive year of his career, as well as the best pitching year of his career.
He's using the bat too.
Why wouldn't he? DeGrom got hits with it.
That's hilarious.
McNeil's been getting plenty of hits with it. And the return throw from Grandal never got to Ryu. What was that?
That's happens for 11 and 12-year-olds all the time, Gary. I don't know if you've ever seen those games. That's why they teach the shortstop and the second baseman to back up.
I mean, what's that?
Shades of Mackie Sasser.
I wasn't going to say that, but you're allowed.
I'm allowed.
He caught you.
I caught him.
1-2 coming, and the curveball hit to right center. On comes Verdugo to get it, and that retires the side. 9 up and 9 down for Hyunjin Ryu. Nary a base runner yet.
Official it don't get, but beware, my friend, and let me warn you. They're thinking of taking a bums to California. Let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. Our house is not a home without some love. Don't let them leave our premises. LA will be their nemesis, 'cause Brooklyn fits the Dodgers like a glove.
It's only been 60 years, but some people still have not gotten over it. I love the Emmett Kelly shots, the clown.
It's awesome. I mean, isn't Sinatra's song "There Used to Be a Ballpark" right here about that?
Sure. Jeez. 60 years, you know.
Not over it yet. Close.
Some still have not forgiven.
Team shot in 55. There's Emmett Kelly.
It's great. Kike Hernandez leads off in the home third, and he flies one out to right center. Jackson and Nimmo come together, and Jackson takes charge. 1 pitch and 1 out for Wheeler in the third. Anybody get on base in this game?
No. See what the game is now, Gary. I don't know if you've realized it. Is that you try to hit the ball as far as you can, but if you don't, you hit it as high as you can, because then all the fans go ooh and ah. It might go far long way, and then the guy catches it about 250 feet.
Brian Dozier bluffing a bunt with Frazier playing back. Dozier, who has really struggled as a Dodger, dropped to 8th in the order after leading off yesterday. 30 games since he came over from Minnesota. Dozier hitting just .202 with 4 home runs. His numbers were down anyway before he got traded. 42 home runs 2 years ago, 34 last year. This year 20. But he has added yet another veteran presence to a Dodger roster that is just full of the former All-Stars. It's call strike, and it's 1-2. I mean, the numbers from last year and this year. 1-2 coming. And the fastball away, 2-2. Hyun-Jin Ryu is not a bad hitter. Waits on deck. He's a good athlete for a guy who, you know, doesn't present as the classic athlete's body. But much like a Bartolo Colon, he can field his position and he can hit a little bit. Curveball off the plate, and it's 3-2 to Dozier. First 3-ball count for either pitcher. The 17th man to bat in the game. And Dozier swings and misses on the splitter. And Wheeler's got his 5th strikeout through the first 8 batters.
2 on splits, 2 on fastballs, 1 on a slider. Nice choice, good pitch. If you're Dozier, you got to be looking for 98. You get 90.
Well, now 99 will bat. Ryu, lifetime 176 hitter.
Did I hear you right last night? Sometimes I don't always hear what you're saying. Did you say Mickey Callaway faced Ryu?
When Ryu was a rookie in the Korean baseball organization, the KBO, he was a Hanwha Eagle, and Mickey played for the Hyundai team, and they faced each other in a playoff game. And Callaway's team won. Mickey was a journeyman trying to find his way back to the major leagues. Ryu was 19 years old. He was named the MVP of the KBO that year. Wow. And the Rookie of the Year. So they have some history. 1-2 coming, and Ryu fouls it off. Get to Citi Field Saturday when the Mets take on the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets winter hat courtesy of Just Works. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets.
I'd say that Ryu stands closer to the plate than just about any pitcher I've ever seen.
It's a good call. He's had some good swings against Wheeler, about as good as anybody's had. Then again, Wheeler might have had the best swing against Ryu through the first 3 innings. 2-2 coming. Hit down to third, and Frazier's got it. So 2 pitchers have gone perfectly through the first 3 innings. 9 up, 9 down, a side. Time for a Dodger dog. Sort of long dogs. Dachshunds.
in February, they asked me to say a few words, and I said, the people in the city better buy tickets because they'll be fighting for tickets in September and October, and that we will all be dancing in the streets of Los Angeles in October. Oh, yeah!
Look away, Ronnie. Look away. I know how any mention of 1988 and the Dodgers just drives you bananas.
Well, it should. I mean, but I don't know. That was pretty funny. Tommy's very funny.
He's a great showman.
Oh,
he's a great salesman for the game.
Always was. You know, he used to irritate me as the manager of the other team. But, you know, when you'd have your conversations with him in private, he couldn't be more complimentary and nicer, and credit to the game.
Fourth inning, which pitcher's going to crack first? Wheeler and Ryu have each retired the first 9. Rosario appeared to have a hit to lead off the game, but call was overturned at first base. And it turned into a 5-3 ground out that set the tone for what has followed. Rosario, McNeil, and Flores for the Mets in the fourth. And the curveball skips away, and it's 2-0. A rare time Ryu's been behind in the count. Rosario is now, or at least was coming into the day, hitting 300 on the road this year. 300 on the road, 205 at home. And it's all of a piece with what has taken place, not just this year, but for a number of years for the Mets. And he lines a base hit into center field, and that road average is back over 300. And we finally have a base runner in this game. Rosario leading off the fourth.
Isn't it amazing what the difference in a fastball looks like when it's for the first pitch of the at-bat or a 2-0 count? Hitters just jump all over it. Beautiful coordination with the leg kick and the swing by Rosario.
So Ryu will have to work out of the stretch for the first time. He is almost impenetrable as far as the running game is concerned. Nobody's even attempted a stolen base against him this year. And McNeil takes the curveball up and in for ball 1. Well, Rosario with that base hit is now 15 for 34 on this road trip, hitting .441 since the Mets left home. McNeil flied out to center his first time. And the curveball pulled down the line. That's a fair ball going into the corner. Rosario racing around second on his way to third. Verdugo digs it out. Rosario will be held at third. And the Mets have runners at second and third with nobody out. A double for Jeff McNeil, his 7th two-base hit.
Well, you mentioned it, Gary. His first time in the stretch. His first curveball was not good at all, stayed inside. His second one was not good either. Just left it over the middle, and McNeil jumped all over it. When it got down in the corner, this happens in San Francisco too. Watch the people on the chairs. They sometimes get into the action, which I find crazy. But Rosario kind of did a spin there before he went on his way to third, and I think if there wasn't anybody out, you probably would have seen him being sent.
Dodgers will play the infield back, second and third, nobody out. And Wilmer Flores carves one foul. Wilmer took a call third strike his first time up. So after a first 3 innings bereft of base runners, the Mets have the first opportunity in this game on back-to-back hits by Rosario and McNeil. And Flores hits it off the foot of Ryu. That'll bring in a run, and everybody's safe. Rosario comes in to score on the infield hit. The pinball shot by Flores, and it's 1-0 New York.
Well, Ryu can't bend over to field his position, so he tries to kick at it with his left foot, and he hacky sacks it and misdirects it to the right side of his infield.
So 3 straight hits for the Mets. A run is in. First and third, still nobody out. And Todd Frazier coming up. Todd flying out to left field his first time up. And the Dodgers again will keep the infield back at double play depth, so they'll concede a second run to try and get 2 outs. And remember, you got Zach Wheeler on the other side who's been dealing.
Not given as much respect if DeGrom was in the game. It's fine with the Mets. Frazier put it in play here.
Goes after a changeup and misses, and it's 0-2. So if you're a pitcher in this position and you're in a double play situation where a run would score, are you thinking double play or are you thinking more strikeout?
Not anymore, because it's 0-2. Once I get to 0-2, now I'm thinking of punching out Frazier and getting the double play off Conforto to get out of the inning with 1 run.
And he does strike out Frazier with the high fastball. So there's the first out. 5 strikeouts for Ryu.
Well, that truck showed you before, the 4-seam fastball he's able to throw past hitters. He doesn't throw it that often, but he sets it up with the slow stuff.
And when he throws it for swinging strikes, he throws it mostly out of the strike zone.
Change up down and away, fastball up. It's been done since, what year did you say?
76.
76.
That's first year of the National.
Yeah.
First professional team, 1869.
I just got to be accurate. I don't want to be called out.
Conforto flies one along the left field line. Peterson coming over into foul ground, not very deep. He makes the catch. Here comes McNeil. Peterson's throw to the plate is a perfect one. McNeil is in as the ball is dropped by Grandal. And all the way to third goes Flores. McNeil was a dead duck at the plate, but Grandal couldn't hold it. And the Mets have a 2-0 lead.
Well, I love the aggressive play. You know, 99 times out of 100, the runner on third does not run on this play. Peterson has a great arm and throws a bullet. One hopper to Grandal, had it in plenty of time, but when he went over to tag, it started to slip out of his glove. He had it early, no place for McNeil to go, and just lost control of the ball.
And now they'll appeal at third. And no indication at all.
Wegner did. The home plate umpire called him safe.
So they were appealing that McNeil had left early. Let's check it out here.
I would honestly give the catcher an error on this play because it was so
I think
out at home.
That's what they will. That will not be a sacrifice fly. And Jackson takes a strike. So it's simply a foul fly out for the second out, and then an error on Grandal, allowing the run to score and allowing Flores to go all the way to third. And that's blooped down the right field line. Fair ball, base hit, and that'll bring in Flores with the 3rd run of the inning. Jackson trying for 2. The throw by Verdugo. He's out at second base. Verdugo's got a great arm. A guy who was a vaunted pitcher in high school, and he made a perfect throw to get Jackson to end the inning. But Flores comes home with the 3rd run of the frame.
Well, one good hustle by Verdugo. 3rd run comes in. He plays it off that wall. It was very hard, and then just a one-hop strike. Aggressive base running by the Mets.
So the Mets put up a 3 spot against Ryu and hand Wheeler a 3-0 lead in the 4th. Zach Wheeler staked to a 3-run lead as he takes the mound for the bottom of the 4th. And Jock Peterson takes curveball for a strike. Wheeler has faced 9, retired 9, striking out 5, and now he's got a lead to work with. He struck out Peterson his first time up. And it's top foul. Back-to-back curveballs to start the at bat, and it's 0-2.
Interesting. Second time through the order. Maybe something that DeGrom and Matz are all learning from each other. How to, mix it up a little once you get through the second and third time through the order.
Even saw Syndergaard do that in his complete game for the first pitch curveball.
Had another one go in the Dodgers radio booth.
Maybe this is a message. They had a nice tribute to Rick Monday on the scoreboard before. I don't know how that jibes with the foul balls keeping heading at him. It's yanked foul. Here's your Spectrum high-speed pitch. Zach Wheeler's hit 99. Hyun-Jin Ryu wears 99.
That's a good one.
Again, the 0-2. And Peterson takes strike 3 called. Slider at his knees. 6 strikeouts for Wheeler through his first 10 batters. Keep in mind, Zach just recently had his first double-digit strikeout game of the season and only the 4th of his career. And here he's got 6 strikeouts in the first 3 1/3.
Outside chance to strike out 200 in a season. That is not easy. Easier now, but still not easy.
He's at 165 now through 163 2/3. Here's Verdugo, and he takes a slider inside. Verdugo hit a comebacker his first time.
I say it's easier now because more guys strike out, but they pitch less innings. So still got to have that inning, strikeout per inning.
Rolls over the changeup, and McNeil throws him out. 11 up and 11 down for Wheeler. And making it look pretty easy so far. So 2 out and nobody on. And now Justin Turner comes up. Turner took a call third strike his first time up. Yesterday named National League Player of the Month for August. Also named the Dodger nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award. Steven Matz won that honor for the Mets.
Oh, that's quite an honor.
For contributions on and off the field. Chasing a high fastball, and it's 0-2.
Curtis Granderson in the Mets uniform won the whole thing, right? Because there's one representative from all 30 teams.
And then there's I think the fans can participate in the voting, and there's an overall winner announced later.
It's a much coveted prize by ball players.
Line right back to Wheeler. It deflects over to Flores, and Turner's going to beat it out. And now let's see if Zach's okay. Looks like it got him on the upper part of his arm, and Mickey Callaway and the trainer are going to come out and have a look.
Boy, I thought it got him in the upper left arm, but I could be wrong. 0-2. We don't expect a comeback for 0-2. Because you figure you're going to make your pitch, and they're not going to have as good of a swing. See where this one comes back. Hanging slider. I can't see from that angle. I thought it caught him in the right upper arm. Sorry. Yeah, right upper arm. Sorry.
So on his pitching arm. Well, man, it looked like it missed his arm and got him in the chest or midsection.
We've seen a couple of those happen. That happened to Carlos Martinez of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, it looked like it got him in the chest or the ribs.
Yeah, he's rubbing it.
Yeah. Well, that's good that it appeared to miss his throwing arm. Now the question is, can he continue?
I got hit by one of those, very similar, hit about just as hard from Tim Raines once in Montreal. I never saw it. It hurt, but you're as embarrassed as you are hurt because it hit you in the chest.
Now let's see if the adrenaline can get him through it. I mean, assuming he didn't break a rib, you know, it's a matter of pain tolerance, right?
Yeah.
More than anything else.
I mean, it is real sore right now.
This is interesting. Dave Island is convinced that he's fine and is walking off. Mickey Callaway and the trainer not as convinced. So they linger for an extra moment. Dave is tough as nails.
It tells you a lot about the difference of Dave Island and others.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing broken, you're fine.
Like the guy has a one-hitter going. Let's go.
Well, he had a no-hitter going until this. This is how he gives up his first base runner of the day.
So luckily he was trying to defend himself with his right hand, and it missed it, and it hit him right in the chest.
That's
I mean, it'd have been worse if it hit him in the hand.
Of course. So Zach appears to be okay. He'll stay in with Turner at first and 2 out to face Max Muncy. First time out of the stretch for Wheeler today. And Muncy with a check swing foul. 97 on the first pitch after getting drilled. I guess he's all right. Muncy took the call, 3rd strike, his first time up. So each pitcher has given up a hit off his person. Ryu off his foot, Wheeler off his chest. And he runs one inside to Muncy, a ball and a strike. What do you make of Max Muncy? Guy who didn't do anything of note in his couple of stints with the A's and has just become a home run machine in his first year with the Dodgers. And he flies that one to deep right center, and forget it. That's way up in the pavilion. A monstrous 2-run homer for Max Muncy. His 32nd home run of the year. And the Met lead is cut to 3-2. So what do you make of Max Muncy?
Sorry, couldn't spit it out in time.
I mean, that was an enormous home run.
Well, I think everyone knows his story, right? This looks a little bit like yesterday's game when the Mets got off to a lead and a 2-run home run by Austin Barnes. You know, he's out of baseball, went back to the basics, how he learned to hit when he was a kid. He talked about how he had almost had paralysis by the analysis of trying to learn how to hit in today's game. He came back refreshed and said, you know what, I've been able to hit a baseball my whole life. I'm going to go back to that.
Bellinger trying to butt his way on with the shift on.
And he's in the right situation. He's surrounded by great hitters, and he doesn't play all the time.
Right, they don't expose him to lefties too much. Only 337 at bats, and he's got 32 home runs.
An outside shot at the title.
He's only 3 behind Carpenter now for the National League lead. Bellinger goes out of the strike zone and misses, 0-2. And the curveball fouled off.
You know, when you watch Muncy swing, there's very little take back. Just straight to the ball. I mean, that is about as short and quick a stroke. Watch his hands. From there to the path of the ball. I mean, he doesn't look like Bellinger, you know, looks like a long, lean athlete.
He looks like Matt Stairs.
Yes, he does.
Bellinger strikes out to end the inning. 7 strikeouts for Wheeler, but Max Muncy with a long 2-run homer gets the Dodgers closer. 3-2 Mets after 4. put Los Angeles in their rearview mirror after 3 innings of fruitless offense. Mets erupted for 3 in the top of the 4th. Max Muncy's 2-run homer gets the Dodgers back closer. And now we go to the 5th with the Mets holding a 1-run lead. Lower third of the order coming up. Kevin Plawecki against Hyun-Jin Ryu. Plawecki struck out his first time up. And takes a cutter off the plate for ball 1. Brandon Nimmo on deck, then Zach Wheeler in the 5th. Let's put together 4 hits to score 3 runs against Ryu in the 4th. And that's drilled down the line, and Plawecki's got a base hit. That'll go into the corner. Plawecki heads to second, and he pulls in with a leadoff double. And so the Mets back in business in the 5th. 12th double of the year for Plawecki.
Well, if you notice, Ryu's pitches have been up in the strike zone the last couple of innings, and Plawecki took advantage of it. Just keeping it, hooking it fair down the line. Contact out in front of the plate. Nice level swing by Plawecki.
So the Mets have hits from 5 of their last 7 batters. Nimmo at the plate with a runner at second and nobody on. He hits one toward the middle of the diamond, past the dive of Dozier and into center field. Plawecki will be held at third. Nimmo's got a base hit, and the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. Plawecki held up to make sure Dozier couldn't catch that line drive.
The ball was hit kind of softly, so I think Plawecki did the right thing, because you're not sure how long that ball's going to stay in the air. Once he saw it on the ground, you can see Plawecki left already to make sure he got to third base, but that's as far as he could go.
Dozier lost the shades, didn't catch the ball. Well, the Mets are not a big squeezing team, but if you're Mickey Callaway, do you not want Wheeler to swing the bat here just so you stay out of the double play?
Yes, you have him bunt. And the bunt is this way because Plawecki doesn't have a lot of speed. It's a safety squeeze in this way. If it's a perfect bunt, Plawecki, you come. If not, you don't do what Taylor did the other night. You stay at third and let the sacrifice work, so there's second and third and 1 out.
Chris Taylor got thrown out at the plate by Vargas. And Wheeler stabs at it and misses, 0-1. As that pitch was thrown, Turner moved toward the bag at third to make sure that Plawecki didn't get a lead, thinking maybe about throwing behind him.
That is all well and good, but all Wheeler has to do is just bunt the ball to Turner. All he has to do. It's not that easy, but that's what he's trying to do.
And Turner does the same thing, and Wheeler fouls it off. So instead of taking a couple of steps in, which is the standard way of playing defense against the bunt, Turner is staying back.
I missed something there. Ryu, you talked about how good a defensive player he is, good an athlete he is. Look at Ryu. When he comes off the mound, he makes his way over to third base. Certain pitchers, remember Santana when he was with the Mets, you could let him be the athlete on that side of the diamond.
Of course, a lefty normally falls off that way anyway. So now it's 0-2 to Wheeler, and let's see how the Mets play it. He's ready to swing, and he strikes out on the fastball, and that's the first out of the inning. 6 strikeouts for Ryu 2 times through the batting order. So now first and third and 1 out, and Ahmed Rosario comes up. Rosario had the first hit in this game, a single to center to start the 4th, and came around to score. Plawecki at third, Nimmo at first with 1 out. Rosario now with 15 hits in 8 games on this road trip. Didn't play 1 game. And he skips out of the way. Ball 1.
See a pattern to Rio already. Tries to get ahead of you with the fastball in. If he doesn't, he tries to go change up away to get back in the count. Could be his pattern. Could be Grandal's pattern.
And the curveball has Rosario flailing, and it's 1-1. That's the kind of pitch we've seen Rosario lay off in recent weeks.
Well, I think for young players, Gary, the last hurdle for them, it's many hurdles anyways. The last hurdle is when runners on base. They have to keep that approach because they get anxious because they want to do good things. Chance to knock in runs.
And Rosario swings and misses at a changeup, and it's 1-2. So he threw a curveball out of the strike zone, threw a changeup out of the strike zone, and got swinging strikes on both.
You know, so he has many options. He can still stay with the soft stuff down low out of the strike zone, or that four-seam fastball that's been effective for him when he's gotten ahead.
Jeff McNeil on deck, and Rosario able to make contact on the curve and foul it off.
All pitchers in tough situations want hitters up who are over anxious. That just helps you out immediately.
What hurts Rosario sometimes is that he can make contact out of the strike zone, which only encourages him at times to swing more out of the strike zone. He reaches for that one and flicks it out to right. Verdugo on the run, and he slides and doesn't make the catch. Plawecki in to score, Nimmo to second, and the Mets lead 4-2. Verdugo got there, went into a slide, and then somehow didn't catch the ball.
It's almost like he was thinking what he was going to do after he caught the ball to pop, slide, and throw home, but he needn't to because Plawecki was not going to tag. He gets there, and he just didn't know how to turn his glove to catch that with his glove facing down or to turn it over. Should have maybe turned it over. That would have made it an easier catch.
Well, they're going to give Rosario credit for a base hit. So the Mets get a gift, some poor Dodger defense in each of the last 2 innings. And the Mets tack on a run. I mean, there's no way I don't think that Plawecki was going to score from third on that if Verdugo catches it.
He wasn't tagging up.
McNeil flies one into shallow left, and in comes Peterson to get it, and that's the second out.
And I think Plawecki was right. He came down the line about 10 feet and just stood there and waited till the play was done, because there was no way that if he had caught it, pop slid up and threw it home, he would have been out.
Remember, Verdugo's got a great arm too, so that affects that play as well. So now 2 out in the inning. 2 aboard for Flores, who banked one off the foot of Ryu for an infield hit to drive in a run in the 4th. And scored 3 in the 4th. They've tacked on 1 in the 5th for a 4-2 lead. Great speed on the bases. Nimmo at second and Rosario at first. And Flores takes low and in for ball 1.
It's a big 2-out hit. Could be a backbreaker for the Dodgers and a huge hit for the Mets.
And it's floated over shortstop. Hernandez can't make the catch. Here comes Nimmo to score. Rosario to third. A blue pit by Flores, his second RBI of the day, and it's 5-2 New York. It's been a game of almosts on defense for the Dodgers. They've almost made several plays, but this time Hernandez not quite able to get there.
You know, great attempt by Kike Hernandez. Just off his glove. He went a long way to try to make that play off the bat of Flores.
So 2 soft hits for Wilmer, 2 RBIs, and the Mets with a couple of runs back after the Muncy home run. And now Todd Frazier with first and third and 2 out. Mets now with 8 hits in the game, all in the last 2 innings. And Todd takes a cutter low and in for ball 1. Frazier has flied out and struck out. No action in the Dodger bullpen. Other than Plawecki, there's been a lot of soft stuff in this inning. Plawecki hit the ball hard down the line. But then Nimmo floated one up the middle for a hit, and Rosario and Flores each with dunkers that fell in off Dodger gloves. Two 2-0 to Frazier. And there's a strike, 2-1. Michael Conforto would be next. Frazier fouls off the changeup, 2-2. In tight, full count. Rosario at third. Flores will be on the move now with 3 and 2 down. Muncy will play a step behind him.
Should be careful though with Rio to not go until ball's released. Little league style.
And Frazier goes down swinging to end the inning. But the Mets get the 2 runs right back after the Muncy home run halfway through, 5-2 New York. As you're heading to 5th inning recap, a quiet first 3 innings, a wild last inning and a half. Yasmani Grandal leads off for the Dodgers in the home 5th. Zach Wheeler staked to a 3-0 lead, gave up a 2-run homer to Max Muncy. Mets got the 2 runs back. Grandal takes a rip, and it's 1-1.
The Mets 0 for 10 last night in risk, but 5 for 10 already.
Grandal, Hernandez, and Dozier for the Dodgers in the 5th. Grandal flied to left his first trip, and he takes a fastball on the inside edge, and it's 1-2. Well, I think we've seen all of what the Dodgers present in this series, right? They've got a tremendous offensive powerhouse if they're hitting home runs. They are not a great defensive team, and they generally pitch pretty well.
Yeah, no, they're ERA top of the National League. So they pitch it despite their defense, and they wait to hit home runs.
And the reason that they're so successful despite the bad defense, their pitchers have issued the fewest walks in the league and struck out the most hitters in the league, which is quite the daily double.
So not a lot of base runners.
Not a lot of balls in play.
Yeah.
And the curveball in there, strike 3 called, and Grandal fussing with the home plate umpire Mark Wegner. That's 8 strikeouts now for Wheeler.
That's got to be frustration from his inability to make the play a couple of innings ago.
Well, your T-Mobile built for baseball. The Dodgers with some poor defense. Grandal right in the middle of it, dropping a sure out.
It's almost like he tried to get his second hand involved in the play and lost the ball. And Verdugo just, I don't know if he took his eyes off. This one is not a misplay. That was almost a great play by Hernandez.
And here is Hernandez taking outside for ball one. Kike Hernandez, who's played 8 different positions for the Dodgers this year, everything but catcher. He's even pitched a little bit. He is a true Swiss Army knife, not just a guy you can put anywhere, but a guy who is a good defender anywhere you put him.
And serious pop.
19 home runs this year, new career high for him.
Had a 3 home run game in the NLCS last year.
Last year hit .228 with 7 home runs the whole season. Batting average about the same, but his home run total has nearly tripled. 1-2 coming, and the curveball pulled down to third. Nice play. Frazier rolls over and fires in time to get Hernandez. 2 men down. Gorgeous play by Frazier, and then the perfect rollover to get himself in position to throw.
Boy, no one appreciates good defense better than I do. And he had to go so far for this, not only to make the play, through the tumble and roll, and come up right on that back leg and able to put something on it.
Todd able to make a play with an actual baseball, and there are 2 men down.
How do you know? He might have a real great sleight of hand.
Could have been keeping the potato in his back pocket.
There's one down the left field line right now.
2-0 to Dozier.
First, you got to get in that ready position, be able to get your feet and the footwork proper. But the roll over on that back foot, that's what made the play.
Dozier grounds one to short, circling in is Rosario, and the side retired. So Wheeler responds with a 1-2-3 inning with some help from his third baseman. After 5-2 New York. Michael Conforto leads off the 6th inning and takes a strike from Hyun-Jin Ryu. Michael has struck out and fouled out to left. That was the play where McNeil scored when Grandal dropped the ball on the tag for the second Met run. And the curveball drilled into right field, and Conforto's got a base hit. So the Mets now with 9 hits against Ryu. Conforto aboard, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, earlier you guys were talking about Michael Conforto's season, wondering how he views what has been a very up and down year. I actually spoke with him about it yesterday, and the one thing I'll say is that both he and the coaching staff clearly feel encouraged by what he's done in the second half. It's not perfect, but it's certainly more like what we've seen in the past. His OPS is about 100 points higher in the second half than it was in the first. But the one thing that the coaches really point to is his exit velocity. It's up about 4 miles per hour on average in the second half versus what it was in the first half, which could really mean 2 things. A, obviously he's barreling up the baseballs a lot better, but B, the coaches feel like maybe this second half that shoulder is just a lot healthier. He feels more comfortable with it. For Conforto's part, he says he felt healthy the entire time, but feels like that first half he was tinkering a lot, and the second half he's just a little bit more athletic at the plate, not thinking so much about his mechanics.
In the conversation, Steve, did the question about using the other side of the field more come up at all?
No, it was really more about just seeing the ball and hitting the ball, and I know that's kind of cliche, but the way Conforto put it is he was searching so much in that first half of the season that his entire focus was mechanical, and he kind of just got out of what had made him such a good hitter in the past, and he felt like that all-star break, just getting away from it for a second and breathing, exhaling a little bit, allowed him to come back and kind of let that go and just be him at the plate and try not to think as much about all of the things he was trying to think about early in the year.
Jackson goes down swinging on the curveball, and Ryu has his 8th strikeout. 1 out of the 6th.
You know, we certainly didn't have all the things that they have to use today. Good curveball by Ryu. You know what I thought about, Gary? How can I be as good as Oral Hershiser, who's in the booth next to us today? How can I be as good as the other great pitchers that are in the league? What do they do that I don't do? And I better start doing it. That's how I thought about getting better.
That's an interesting concept. So if you're Michael Conforto, who do you use as a role model?
I'm going to have to come back to you on that, because I threw it out there before. Maybe a comp for Michael Conforto in baseball, that I can see him aspirationally trying to be that player. But that's what I did, and I think a lot of players that I know did that.
Plawecki takes one the other way, and he's got another base hit. So after pulling a double down the line his last time up, Plawecki flicks one the other way for his 2nd hit of the night. And the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, with the shift on, nice job by Plawecki getting a fastball away and just going that way. I mean, it's so rare that you see those hits. You're just so excited when you do see them. Nice going, Kevin.
10 hits now against Ryu, and still no action in the Dodger bullpen. And now Brandon Nimmo at a base hit to center field his last time up.
Saw this a little in the first night with Rich Hill. Dave Roberts' ability to stay with his starters.
And yet with Alex Wood, he had a much quicker hook in the first game. First pitch changeup misses to Nimmo, ball 1. And we're going to get some action starting in a moment in that Dodger pen. Pedro Baez, who I guess pitches every day, gets up. It's interesting that Baez would be called upon here after pitching each of the last 2 nights, and I'll tell you why. Because it appears as though Kenley Jansen, who has a heart problem, is not going to accompany the Dodgers to Denver, because when he's had the incidents with his irregular heartbeat, it's been at altitude the last 2 times. And Baez might be the guy they call upon to close games if Jansen's not available.
Well, they're definitely going to. They talked about it today. I was talking to someone about doing it a bullpen by committee type deal. Maybe Baez plays a part. Maeda plays a part. They have so many left-handers. Maybe they get a big out
against a Charlie Blackmon. Who knows?
But wouldn't you think that having pitched Baez the last 2 days, and they do have an off day tomorrow, but that they try to avoid pitching him 3 days in a row if he's going to be part of that mix on Friday in huge games in Denver?
I would, except I think what his thought is, and I could be wrong, is that he's expecting Ryu to get this out. And the worst thing that happens if he doesn't, Baez is going to have to come in and get 1 out, you know, to end the inning.
Just trying to finish
That'll be it. Yeah.
We got the pitcher Wheeler on deck, so this is the big out for Ryu. 2-2 to Nimmo. And the curveball blooped shallow right field. Verdugo will have to play it on a hop, base hit. Everybody moves up a base, and the Mets have them loaded. Well, it's 11 hits against Ryu. There have been several that have not been hit hard. That's in the collection. But it falls in front of Verdugo. Second hit for Nimmo. And the Mets have the bases loaded with 1 out.
You know, earlier we talked about his ability to throw the four-seamer by hitters. But that was a four-seamer he put in play. Watch the runners. You have to hold up. Conforto, beautiful. Head on to third base.
Do you think
Plawecki, just the same?
Do you think Verdugo played that safe because he didn't catch the one he tried to slide on earlier?
I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting call.
As Wheeler takes a fastball for a strike.
He's out there for his speed and his ability to get the balls. That would have been a play that could have saved Ryu in this inning.
I mean, he looked very tentative approaching that ball and letting it fall in front of him.
It's young players are tentative at times.
Wheeler is fly out and struck out. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Zach fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2. Wheeler has 4 RBIs this year. Couldn't get a bunt down with first and third in the 5th, and then eventually struck out. Rosario waits on deck. And the curveball grounded to second, might be a double play. Dozier mishandles, gets the out at second, and they turn the double play. The Dodgers able to turn 2 and get Ryu through the 6th inning. 4-6-3 on the double play. Still 5-2 New York. All right, thanks, Doug. Here we go to the bottom of the 6th. Zach Wheeler and the Mets with a 5-2 lead. And prepare to say goodbye, Mets fans, because you're about to get the last look at a guy who's tormented you for many, many years. Chase Utley is retiring after the season. Will pinch it for the Dodgers. 699 career at-bats against the Mets. 282 average, 39 home runs, and 116 RBIs against Mets pitching. And now perhaps his final swings against the Mets. Wheeler pours one in for a strike.
Signature start to an Utley at bat as you see the bullpen. Ryan Madson warming up for the Dodgers. Takes the first pitch.
And he cracks one out to right. Nimmo, though, is there and reels it in for the out. Well, what did that remind you of? Don't you remember Game 5 against Familia?
I thought it was gone.
I was watching on television, so I didn't have as good a look as you did. But on TV, when he hit that ball against Familia, almost exactly the same as he just hit that, I thought it was gone.
It was a little higher, and I remember the two things I thought to myself. One, the Marine layer when I played would have easily kept that ball in, but that year the ball was traveling, and I thought it had a chance to go, and it did not.
So in his 700th and perhaps final at bat against the Mets, Utley hits it hard into an out. Sayonara, Chase.
Maybe a double in Philadelphia.
Double sorry, Chase. Peterson takes it low, and it's 2-0. So Wheeler starting his third time around the batting order. He's gotten Peterson on strikes twice, swinging in the first, looking in the fourth. And he falls behind 3-0. Zach has not walked a batter tonight. Struck out 8. Allowed 2 runs and 2 hits. The first hit went off his chest. The second hit almost went out of the entire stadium. Taking all the way, a strike 3-1. Turner hit the comebacker that went for an infield hit. Muncy followed with a monstrous 2-run homer, but Wheeler has given up nothing else. And now he walks Peterson, his first walk of the night. Let's take a look at the road ahead, presented by GMC. Mets head home after the game, take tomorrow off, and then begin a 7-game homestand Friday night against the Phillies. Must-win games, all of them for Philadelphia. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon.
Is Keith coming back? I don't know in the schedule anymore. Is he coming back on Friday?
Keith will be there for the entire homestand.
Very nice.
He won't miss a game. Mets will face Aaron Nola on Friday night. They moved him up a day. There's Verdugo swinging and missing at a slider, 0-1. The Braves lost that horrible game this afternoon, blew a 6-run lead against the Red Sox. So their lead down to 2.5 games. The Phillies, though, are down 2-0 to the Marlins at last check. Sandy Alcantara, a hard-throwing youngster for the Marlins, 7 scoreless innings, 2-0 in the 7th in that game. And the Phillies 3.5 back in the wild card starting play today.
Nola pitched last Sunday against the Cubs, only went 5 2/3. That might have factored into the decision.
Well, I think the other thing is, after the Phillies get done with the Mets, they play the Braves, and they wanted to make sure Nola was lined up to pitch in the Atlanta series. So if he had pitched Saturday, he would have missed the Braves. This way he gets to face the Mets and then Atlanta. So the Mets will get Nola Friday night, Zach Eflin Saturday night, and Vince Velasquez on Sunday with Matt Syndergaard and DeGrom lined up. So we get a look at 2/3 of the Cy Young race over the weekend.
That's right.
Nola Friday, DeGrom on Sunday. And Verdugo gets jammed and fouls it off. We saw Alcantara early in the season. He was very impressive.
He was.
Then he got hurt, right?
That's right.
And he's only recently back and sticking it to the Phillies tonight. Let's see the Marlins after the Phillies are in next week. Perhaps we'll get a look at Alcantara. Curveball strikes out Verdugo. That is number 9 for Zach Wheeler. 2 out.
Well, with all young hitters, at some point you have to see how they look on breaking balls. Verdugo did not look very good with a mirrored left-handed swing of Justin Turner at the start.
Well, now Turner, who Put the outline of some seams into the chest of Zach Wheeler his last time up. Wheeler might have gotten shaken for a moment, gave up the home run to Muncy, but he's been solid since. Is that a thing after you get hit by a line drive like that? To get knocked back on your heels a little bit?
Well, you have to remember, he had a perfect game going, right? It was an 0-2 pitch. Last thing you expect the hitter to do on an 0-2 hit pitch is to hit a bullet at you, because you figure you have the upper hand, and that whatever pitch you're going to throw, even if he hits it, is going to be hit weakly.
Turner flies one to deep left center. Jackson back onto the warning track to make the catch. Side retired. Turner making a bid and coming up shy, and Wheeler is through 6 with a 5-2 lead. Steve Gelbs and Wayne Randazzo is now a podcast. Listen to their newest episode with Ronnie as they discuss Ron's path to the majors, plus how his relationship with Keith has changed since their days on the field. You'll want to hear that. Just search Rain Delay Theater and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Ryan Madson in to pitch for the Dodgers in the 7th. Ahmed Rosario fouls one off. Second appearance of the series for the veteran Madson.
Most of those games, of course, 49 of them with the Washington Nationals.
Got a couple of outs in the game here on Monday. Now facing the top of the batting order in the 7th. Rosario already with a couple of hits today.
A little worried what I said on the Rain Delay Theater about my relationship with Keith and how it's changed. I hope I was civil.
Ronnie, I have to tell you, I watched that episode of Rain Delay Theater. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, the guys are great.
They did a great job, and you did a great job. I thought your story about your Fenway Park experience in the World Series was really poignant.
I know you know that story, but not many people do know it.
Well, they thought they had broken new ground, so don't tell them otherwise.
We spent a lot of time together, Gary.
Fouled away by Rosario. Jeff McNeil on deck, and then Wilmer Flores in the 7th. Hyun-Jin Ryu went 6, allowed 5 runs, 3 earned on 11 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts, 89 pitches. And the Mets with a chance to put an L on Ryu for the first time ever. Even 3-0 lifetime against the Mets. Poked into center field, and Dozier goes back, and he drops the ball. Can you believe this? How many balls of the Dodgers had go off their gloves in this game? Even when they turned the double play in the last inning, Dozier bobbled the ball. And this one goes out of his glove, and Rosario's on base, and they'll give him credit for another hit.
I mean, he leaped a little too early, caught it right in the palm of his glove. Couldn't close the glove around it, and another base hit for Rosario.
Well, he had a hit off Verdugo's glove his last time up, now one off Dozier's glove. This has been a crazy quilt of soft hits for the Mets, and the Dodgers unable to secure the baseball. Rosario at first, McNeil at the plate. And McNeil carves one down the left field line. This one's going to be tough for Hernandez, and it drops for a base hit. Rosario stops at second, and the bloops just keep on coming. McNeil with his second hit of the game.
I've never seen anything like this.
Mets beating the Dodgers at a game with which they are not familiar.
If you want to have fun with that StatCast thing we do, let's find out the Mets' exit velocity on their hits today. That would be fun.
I count one really hard hit ball, the Plawecki double, among the 13 hits today. Now Flores, who has two very soft hits, one off the pitcher's foot and then one off Hernandez's glove on a bloop to left. And a check swing, and Rosario had thoughts about going to third, but thought better of it, and wisely so. Like Grandal might have been crossed up.
It was crossed up. It's the second time this series that Grandal's been crossed up. New pitcher, new tandem, can happen.
First and second and nobody out, and Wilmer pulls one foul. You don't think about that much, right? All these late season deals, particularly for pitchers, and now you've got catchers who've been working with the staff all year, and they've got, instead of 12 pitchers, they got 18 pitchers they've got to try and figure out.
Also, if you're a guy who's pitching the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, especially 8th or 9th, sometimes you have some real complicated signals because you don't want to worry about the guy on second relaying the signs. I had a variety of signs that I thought were, I tried to keep them pretty complicated, Gary, and one of the catchers that will remain nameless just said, hey, that's not happening. I'm not doing that. I said, okay. All right, we'll figure out something else to do.
Back to the 101 rather than the 401.
That's right.
And now a quick message from City.
Think fast.
What?
Does that count as 2 strokes or 3, Ron?
That one? Style. That's just style points.
Well, Madsen stepping off a couple of times, taking looks back at Rosario, who keeps jumping off the bag. And Wilmer hooks one foul. All these games of utmost importance to the Dodgers, who started the day a half game behind the Rockies in the NL West. Rockies are supposed to be playing the Giants right now, but they're being delayed by rain in Denver. The Rockies, by the way, are in first place, the latest that they've been since 1995. Rockies have never won the National League West. Another pop-up. Hernandez retreats, infield fly rule called, so it didn't matter if he caught it. It would have been an out anyway. One out. Let's check in with the studio. Doug Williams has another game break. Yeah, that's a big one for the Cubs, Doug, because the Brewers took the first 2 games of that series. And a win for Milwaukee today would get them within 2 games of the Cubs in the Central. Here's Todd Frazier, who's flied out and struck out twice. Batting here with 2 aboard and 1 out. And goes after Madsen's changeup, 0-1. Well, there are the Central standings.
Wow.
Cardinals are up 7-2 on the Nationals in the 7th. Milwaukee and St. Louis right now in the top 2 wild card spots as well.
Cardinals have not been as hot in September as they were in August.
Finally got a September win yesterday, hanging on by their fingernails against the Nats. Call strike to Frazier, and it's 0-2. But all the National League races are close, both for the divisions and for the wild cards. You basically have 8 teams within 3.5 games. Let's make for a wild finish these last 3.5 weeks. And Frazier goes down on strikes again. Rough night for Frazier. 3rd time he's been struck out, and there are 2 out in the inning.
Threw him some fastballs to get ahead, and the signature changeup to put him away. I've always said this since they had the second wild card. You stay around 10 games over 500 September 1st, you're in some kind of race somewhere.
Unless you're the Tampa Bay Rays.
There you go.
12 games over and nowhere to go. Although they're bearing down on Seattle for the team closest to chasing the Yankees and the A's. I mean, who would have had that, right?
That's right.
I mean, Seattle was, what, 11 games up on Oakland 2 months ago? Now they're 5.5 behind and only a game and a half in front of the Rays. And, well, that's what leads to fisticuffs in the clubhouse, apparently.
That used to happen a lot, and it wasn't reported. Now everything is at least on social media. So,
well, you know how it happened yesterday. The media was in the clubhouse, and Dee Gordon respectfully asked the media to leave. Yeah. And as soon as they closed the doors, the ruckus began, and it came spilling out of the doors with, I guess it was Gordon and Gene Segura in the middle of it. And then they went out and lost their game. 0-2 to Conforto, and it's down low. Dahl blocks it.
I don't know if that's a fair fight, Dee Gordon against Segura, but you know, those things used to happen all the time. I've seen them happen on planes, on buses, in clubhouses. I've seen them happen at a team picture.
Photo day, 1989. That was my first day at my first spring training.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I walk in. What's going on?
Oh, it was like
Conforto shoots one foul.
You were going to be so earnest and like cover this ball club. And,
yeah,
you know, I was
here's
really get
my
it right.
hometown team. Straw, Max, right?
And
we have one big happy family.
All you got was a bunch of bums on that day.
I don't know about that, but
Just awful.
It was certainly a newsworthy day.
It really was.
First day I arrived. I didn't put that in the greatest moments, by the way.
You didn't?
1-2 coming. And Conforto hooks one into right field for a base hit. Rosario around third and heading home. Verdugo's throw to the plate, not in time. Conforto adds his second hit of the day, an RBI single, and the Mets stretch their lead to 6-2.
Fielder number 16, Austin Jackson.
So a 2-out hit for Conforto to add to the lead.
I think it's a changeup that he hits. Yes, down. Just flicks it into right field. You know, Verdugo never got a real good grasp with that ball, so he never got enough on that throw.
Well, he clearly has a lot of faith in his arm, and rightly so. He's got a tremendous arm, but he had no chance to throw out Rosario. Jackson takes outside, ball one. Jackson is 1 for 3. Looped a single to right to drive and a run in the fourth. McNeil at third, Conforto at first with 2 out. And it goes to the backstop. Here comes McNeil, and he will score. 7-2 New York. And the Dodgers here in the booze.
Yeah, this is not the kind of game you want to see from your team that's trying to fight for a postseason. Okay, the ball's supposed to be in. It's not, but Grandal has got to make that play.
He scored a wild pitch to bring home the second run of the inning. And now the Mets with a 5-run lead. Conforto's in scoring position with 2 out. Mets have gotten contributions up and down the lineup today. Every position player, with the exception of Frazier, has at least a hit. Rosario with 3 hits, McNeil 2 hits, Flores 2, Conforto 2, Plawecki 2, Nimmo 2. That's a lot of hits. 14 of them. And Jackson takes it low, and now Madsen behind 3-1. They've got the lefty Zach Rosscup up in the bullpen.
He's going to, if he comes in, throw for his 3rd straight day, right?
Jackson grounds 1 to short. Hernandez in to get it, and that retires the side, but the Mets tack on 2 runs. 7th inning stretch time, 7-2 New York. Game homestand as they face one of Jacob deGrom's Cy Young contenders, Aaron Nola. Steven Matz goes Friday night for the Mets. 6:30 the coverage right here on SNY. For more on the Phillies, let's check in with Steve.
Well, Gary, when we see the Phillies in town this weekend, we have no idea what the lineup's going to look like. Gabe Kapler today using his 115th different lineup in just 139 games, and the lineup construction has really been a hot topic around the Phillies this last month as their offense has struggled. He has not used the same lineup since the middle of August on back-to-back days. The most recent attempt that Kapler has made to try and get this offense going is moving Carlos Santana into the leadoff spot 3 of the last 5 games. His reasoning being that he sees a high number of pitches per plate appearance, plus he gets on base a lot. Not working today, though, down 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, Asdrubal Cabrera just drove in their first run in the 8th inning. Well, one of the reasons they had to move Santana up is because Cesar Hernandez, who has been so consistent over the last 4 years in that leadoff spot, is really struggling right now. So they're putting him further down in the order. Max Muncy pops one foul off the left side. Anybody going to get there? Frazier does, and Plawecki comes over as well, but Frazier makes the catch. I mean, I don't know what Plawecki heard or didn't hear, but that was Frazier's ball all the way, and Plawecki fortunate he didn't mess it up.
Well, maybe the play yesterday had part and parcel to play here. Plawecki trying to go for everything, and Frazier really not making a call. He just thought it was going to be his play easily. Wasn't easily, but he made the play.
Well, yesterday, Bruce, an inexperienced first baseman, didn't know that he had to take charge of it and was worried about where Plawecki was, but maybe he should have been worried based on what we just saw.
Frazier almost got run over.
One out now. Cody Bellinger. It's been a rough and tumble series for Frazier in the field, wouldn't you say? Into the stands, rolling over it before, now almost run into by his catcher.
But the Mets have been making the plays, and the Dodgers have not today.
Boy, that's for certain. This has been an ugly defensive day for Los Angeles. Cody Bellinger has struck out twice today. So his mastery of Zach Wheeler has taken a pause. The switch pitcher, Pat Venditti, who finished up the game for the Dodgers last night, is up again. We saw him from the left side and from the right side last night. Bellinger drives one deep down the line, and that ball is deep into the stands. A home run. Bellinger has resumed his ownership of Wheeler.
Didn't pause for long, Gary.
His 22nd home run of the year and his 4th home run in 8 career at-bats against Zach Wheeler. It's now 7-3.
A little slider that just stayed middle. Boy, Bellinger hits towering shots.
Few hitters approach a baseball with as much violence as Cody Bellinger. 39 home runs last year as a rookie, now 22 this year. Second home run Wheeler's allowed tonight. Here's Monty Grandal, who has flied out and struck out.
I mean, he just has great rotational turn. I mean, that core rotation is a better way to put it. He just has a beautiful swing all the way around his torso.
And that full extension, whacking himself in the back the way Piazza used to do, but with much more of an uppercut. It's a long way for that bat to travel.
Watch the overhead of the follow through. I mean, he almost leaves his feet. He doesn't hit himself in the back, hits himself in the back left pocket. That shows you the uppercut, right? If I remember, Mike used to hit himself across the letters.
Mike had a pretty level swing for a home run hitter. That's why, he had years where he hit 360.
That's right.
Seth Lugo up in the Mets bullpen. Wheeler at 94 pitches for the night. Still working with a 4-run lead. And the curveball hit into the shift. McNeil from deep throws out Grandal for the second out.
Well, with September call-ups in this series, we've seen both teams add a lot of pitchers to their bullpen. Seems to be like we're seeing the same pitchers get up every night.
Well, there's that level of trust, particularly in Mickey Callaway's bullpen. We saw some great evocative numbers today. If you take the 4 relievers who've been kind of in that circle of trust this year, starting with Familia, Lugo, Gazelman, Blevins, those 4 have a collective earned run average of 3.13. Every other relief pitcher in the Mets bullpen this year, 6.63. So, it's been a narrow range of pitchers that Mickey has had faith in. Now he's, trying to work in the Drew Smith. We saw Rick Handhold last night. There are things to like about some of those other guys, but I think in crunch time,
yeah,
you're going to go with the guys that you believe in and that you've gotten results from.
and that's something that hasn't changed since the beginning of time. It doesn't matter how many guys you add out there. Is that crunch time? There's usually 2 or 3 guys that matter.
And of course, that doesn't help The fact that the Mets have been scored upon more late than any other team, and now a walk to Hernandez puts a runner aboard with 2 out. By the way, the contrast to that is first 6 innings of the game, the Mets have allowed the 9th fewest runs in baseball. 7th inning on, the most runs in baseball. Tomorrow, the crew discusses the decision to start Sam Darnold in the season opener, plus get an inside look at some of the new faces and the impact they'll have on the season on Jets Game Plan, presented by Centenary University. Tomorrow at 4:30, only on SNY. Isn't that where Seth Lugo went to school? Centenary?
Yeah, Centenary. Want to be a geologist. Want to work out on one of those, what are the oil things they call out in there?
The derricks?
The derricks.
The platforms. Brian Dozier struck out and grounded out. And he takes a low ball and strike as Zach gets over 100 pitches.
So this is where for Zach, he's got to battle through, you know, running on fumes here with 2 outs and get this hitter out.
Manny Machado is on deck to pinch hit if Dozier keeps the inning going. Hernandez at first with 2 out. And he throws one by Dozier at 97, a ball and 2 strikes. Only 3 hits against Wheeler today, 1 off his chest and 2 over the wall. Machado held out of the starting lineup today, ready to pinch hit. Wheeler has struck out 9. And he misses with a splitter. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's what he struck out Dozier on in the first time on a 3-2 count. Went back to it. 1-2.
Two coming. Foul back.
It was Dozier's best swing of the series right there.
That's his 42 home run swing.
Did he hit 30-something in the second half?
That was
Something
2 years
crazy.
ago. Yeah, that was just unbelievable. Kind of like remember Jed Jerko that year also had that enormous second half. Hernandez not likely to be going anywhere, down by 4 runs in the 7th inning. Two coming. Popped it up. Rosario waiting for it. And that retires the side. Wheeler through 7. Gives up the home run to Bellinger, but leads 7-3. Wednesday, or is it iron? Dodger gloves have been fairly ineffectual in a late afternoon start on a Wednesday. Balls into gloves, balls out of gloves, balls off the end of gloves, balls off the heels of gloves. It has been a very odd day. The Mets have 14 hits, and you know we don't talk about exit velocity a lot, but you asked about this before, Ronnie. The average exit velocity on the Mets hits today is 77.5. By all rights, they should almost all be outs, but they're not. Average exit velocity on hits this year in the big leagues is 93.3, and the Mets have been far shy of that. Kevin Plawecki might have the hardest hit ball of the day. He doubled down the left field line of the fifth. Now facing the switch pitcher, Pat Venditti, who misses outside for ball one. Venditti pitched last night. 2 left-handed at-bats and 1 right-handed at-bat for Venditti last night. And he starts out right-handed here against Plawecki. And he hits him with a pitch. That one hurts. What did he get him around the hip bone?
Might have. Not rubbing it. Tried to run a fastball in, and it just chased Plawecki. No, right in the ribs. Right in the ribs.
Well, with Mesoraco banged up and perhaps done for the year with the neck issue he's suffering with, the Mets cannot afford to lose another catcher. They have Tomas Nido, and that's it.
That, if it hits you in the right spot and it doesn't break any bones or ribs or whatever, because that's bad enough. But if it hits you in the right spot, it makes you almost want to throw up. I mean, that's how much it hurts.
It's no fun to be a catcher and then to have that happen to you when you're batting. Just adds to the pain of the position. So the Mets have a leadoff base runner. Venditti will switch the glove to the other hand and face Brandon Nimmo as a left-hand pitcher. He's got the double hinged glove that allows him to move it back and forth.
Venditti is a very kind left-hander, but he's very mean right-handed. So that's why sometimes he hits some batters.
I think he throws harder right-handed anyway. Nimmo's got 2 hits today, both against the left-hander Ryu. He singled to center in the 5th and then dumped one into right field for a base hit in the 6th. Morris Sloan Kettering brings you the Mets box score. Every manner of hit today for the Mets. 6 different Mets have multiple hit games. Led by Rosario, yet another 3-hit game for him.
Is that his 6th since August 10th? You said it last night, right?
And he had 4 before that. As Venditti gets the curveball in for a strike. Dom Smith has come out on deck to pinch hit. Plawecki at first and nobody out. And Nimmo grounds a double play ball right at Dozier. The backhand flip, and then Hernandez to first. Close play, but he got it. Nimmo running as fast as he can, as he always does. Almost beat it out. Mets will hold to see if they want to review the play, and they will ask for a review.
Well, this is another instance where, I don't know, it looked like he might have been out there.
Yeah.
This is another instance just late in the game where it was a Dodger misplay. Now, we're not. Kike Hernandez, who made the transfer to throw the ball to first, didn't come flying across the bag with any momentum. He kind of got to the bag and threw flat-footed to first base. Didn't get enough on it. Watch, he gets this one from Dozier. That's kind of flat-footed. You got to come across that bag hard. In this game, you're not going to be taken out by the runner at second.
Do you think part of that is because instead of firing the ball, Dozier made the backhand flip and Hernandez had to wait for it? Maybe the timing was off?
Absolutely. It was the changeup by Dozier. That didn't help.
So it's in the books at the moment as a 4-6-3 double play. And I haven't seen anything on replay that would make me think they're going to overturn this. We'll wait for Jerry Davis and Dana DeMuth and their crews back in the replay center in Chelsea to make their determination. Jim Reynolds made the call at first. He's already had one overturned today. Rosario had an apparent infield hit in the first that was turned into a ground out.
You know, Gary, this is another part of replay where teams want to use it because it's late in the game. The manager wants to protect his player and his team to try to get another base runner. And it just, this is becoming like the TV timeouts in pro football, where a guy makes an interception. As a fan, you sit there and wait for 5 minutes.
And they're going to overturn the call. How about that? Mets will take it. So Nimmo is safe at first on the fielder's choice. It becomes a 4-6 force play for the first out. And the Mets have a one-out base runner, and now Dom Smith will pinch hit.
But just another kind of sloppy play by the Dodgers, who, you know, are, boy, the years I've seen them the last 5 years haven't been anything but sloppy.
Well, they've left a lot on the table today, that's for certain. Dom had 2 at-bats last night back in his hometown. He flied to right and singled to center. And Venditti gets the breaking ball over for a strike. Matt Venditti, now 33 years old. He's had brief tours now with 4 different teams, hoping this one is the one that sticks. Has a great advantage in that he has the platoon against everybody. The platoon upper hand, other than the switch hitters. That should be a double play. Right at the bag, the turn in time for the double play, and that retires the side. To the bottom of the 8th, 7-3 New York.
You know, this was our first year on SNY, and there was a lot of joking around in the booth about, you know, how early we had to be at the ballpark the next day. When Beltran hit the home run, the first reaction was, we're going home.
Well, Gary Cohen's 30th anniversary series presented by Spectrum continues as he shares the story from SNY's first season on the air, featuring a dramatic extra innings walk-off from Carlos Beltran. See the full feature on SNY.TV. That was Ryan Matson who delivered that pitch.
His second appearance of the day. Seth Lugo on to pitch the bottom of the 8th. Chris Taylor pinch hitting for the Dodgers. And the first pitch curveball from Lugo in for a strike. Lugo worked in the opening game of the series, gave up a double and a single to start his outing, then got a strikeout and a double play to get through it unscathed.
Saw a picture of Thomas Nido. He's in there catching now. Plawecki took that ball in the ribs.
Well, I would suspect that by the time the Mets get back home, they'll have another catcher. And if there's anything wrong with Plawecki at all, with Mesoraco already compromised. So Nido doing the catching for Lugo here in the 8th inning, with the Mets trying to hold a 4-run lead. And Taylor takes a strike 1 and 2.
My knowledge of the second and third string catchers in Las Vegas don't have it right now.
Jock Peterson on deck, then Alex Verdugo in the 8th, and Taylor down swinging on the fastball. There's the first out.
Number 31, Jock Peterson.
Well, he came into this series with 158 strikeouts, number 1 in the National League. I think that's 160 in this series. 160 now for Taylor.
Tonight's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. Hyun-Jin Ryu was a little unlucky and a little not good. It all added up to 5 runs, 3 earned on 11 hits. Zach Wheeler gave up a couple of home runs, but little else. 9 more strikeouts for Zach, and he's in line for his 10th win of the year. Jock Peterson 0 for 2 and a walk. Wheeler's ERA went up a couple of ticks to 3.39. He's just outside the top 10 in the National League, which is remarkable considering the way his first half went. Good changeup by Lugo to get even on Peterson, 1-1.
Well, if I was an advanced scout in this series, I would look at the Dodgers and say that offensively, yes, they do have the firepower, but the thing that really combats a team that can hit the ball at the ballpark is the ability to spin the ball and the ability to throw soft stuff. And when the Mets have been real good at it in this series, they've been able to neutralize the bats of the Dodgers.
Final score in Miami, Marlins 2, Phillies 1. So the Braves and Phillies both lose today to keep it a 3-game margin. Phillies coming to Citi Field on Friday night.
And Steve Gelbs, it doesn't matter what Philadelphia or their manager do with the lineup, have not been able to score.
They broke out last night with 9 runs, but right back to square one today. Shut out for 7 innings by the rookie Sandy Alcantara. 3-1 coming, and Peterson carves 1 foul. 3-2.
Watch the right foot of Seth Lugo as he kind of plants it, pats it, and he has that great pause before he proceeds to the plate. It's like he's getting a little, it's a little timing thing for him.
By the way, it's also a great shade of blue on those shoes. It's like Seton Hall blue. Well, you know, it's getting closer to that season.
That season for you. See, in front of the mound, it was interesting. It seems like it's a little wet there, of all things. Not there, in front of the rubber.
3-2. Curveball into shallow right. McNeil out. Nimmo in. And Nimmo calls him off and makes the catch, and McNeil vacated just in time. 2 out. I mean, when you're playing that deep into the outfield as a second baseman anyway, you figure, you know, anything up there is yours, even if you're halfway out in the outfield.
Well, McNeil just, we've seen it today, he plays the game with his hair on fire.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is. He's made his people of Long Beach State proud of the way he's played here this series.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Alex Verdugo, who's 0 for 3 today and has a rough day in the field as well. But then again, so have most of the Dodgers. The game in Denver is now underway. The Giants got a run in the first inning. The Rockies coming to bat. Colorado a half game in front of LA. I mentioned this briefly before, but it bears repeating. The Rockies, who came into existence in 1993, have never won a National League West title. They've been to the postseason 4 times, every time as a wild card. Flores hits Lugo, reaches back for it nicely, and they get the 3rd out. 1, 2, 3 go the Dodgers in the 8th. On to the 9th, 7-3 New York. Well, some beautiful sunset shots in LA. On the road, brought to you by Old Dominion. Well, some facts about Los Angeles. The original Hollywood sign said Hollywoodland, or if you're a BoJack Horseman fan, Hollywood.
That's right.
People are outnumbered by cars. Well, you could guess that from the traffic. And the San Andreas fault, it's no fault of theirs, but every once in a while, Kenley Jansen will pitch for the Dodgers in the 9th inning.
Well, he's had a strange season. You know, he's a guy that's been almost automatic since he's become the closer of the Dodgers. I think he became the closer of the Dodgers against the Mets many moons ago.
Well, he had a foot problem to begin the year and got off to a dreadful start. Gave up a couple of big home runs early in the season.
Yeah, one in San Francisco and one in Arizona. The one in Arizona was a blown save.
Then he kind of settled in. Then he had the recurring irregular heartbeat, and then came back from that and gave up some long balls. I mean, his overall numbers are good as he strikes out Rosario for the 1st out, but the heart issue is going to keep him from traveling to Denver this weekend for the most important series the Dodgers will play to date.
And listen, we're wishing the best for Jansen, because boy, that's a scary issue, but it's a very strange thing to not be able to bring your closer in a pennant race to a place where you might need him the most.
He already had one heart ablation procedure a few years ago, and apparently he's going to need another when this year is over. It's not considered a serious issue, but it's certainly serious enough anytime you're talking about your heart.
Bruce Bochy had one last year, different because of his age.
Jeff McNeil has 2 hits tonight, a single and a double. The Mets and Dodgers have been playing since 1962, who were the Mets' all-time leaders. I did not have Kevin McReynolds in that pool. That's good.
Wow. Willie Davis for the Dodgers last year had 215 hits.
It's a nice variety of eras there. Cleon from the 60s, McReynolds from the 80s, Wright from the 2000s. All on that list. There the batting average lead. Oh, Keith's right there. He'll be happy about that.
Hubie, this was his home. Always hit well here.
And of course, he played for the Dodgers as well.
That's right.
Neal fouls that cutter off 1-2.
I used to always say that Hubie Brooks was the most unlucky player I ever played with. No one hit the ball harder than Hubie Brooks. It just seemed to be at people. Now, no science of that. I have no numbers, just from watching him play.
Juan Lagares?
Lagares is another, yeah.
He got better at hitting them where they ain't this year before he got hurt.
He did.
Neal gets tied up on that cutter, and it's 2-2.
Remember, Hubie had that hit game streak for the Mets for a while before it was bested.
Well, Moises Alou got the record, hit 30 straight. And McNeil pops it up. Turner waiting for it into foul territory. 2 out. Let's see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. We check in with Eamon McEnany and Jim Duquette. Guys. All right, guys, now Wilmer Flores with 2 out and nobody on. Wilmer has 2 hits today, 2 RBIs. And he's got a couple of the dinks and dunks.
That's a good call.
Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, the Dodgers will have Turner, Muncy, and Bellinger. So some heavy hitters coming up. It would appear as though Lugo is going to try and finish this game out. Seth worked a 1-2-3/8 on just 13 pitches, and nobody is up in the Mets bullpen. That's 3 outs away from a winning road trip. It started out losing 2 out of 3 in Chicago, but 2 out of 3 wins in San Francisco, and trying to do the same here. And it would be a very disappointing result for a Dodger team that has some big games coming up and thought that they could feast on a team that has struggled most of the year. But when you face the Mets and DeGrom and Wheeler in the same series, it's a very different equation. Lifted down the right field line. Muncy giving chase with Verdugo, but it's in the stands. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after the post game. Oh, there's a new.
Yeah, Richard.
New.
Yeah.
He's new. So it's not the same guy we've been talking about all these months.
Okay. I want to know what new means.
New. Baseball, U.S. Open, all that. But the new OBJ. Geico Sports Night. Tonight and every night. SNY. After the post game. Or 11 o'clock, whichever comes first. Has the football season started yet?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Soon,
stuff.
right? On the inside corner, the cutter gets Flores looking, and Jansen has a 1-2-3 top of the 9th. 3 outs to get for Lugo. Mets up 7-3 in LA. Last of the ninth. Seth Lugo trying to finish it off for New York. Justin Turner leads off for the Dodgers and takes the first pitch slider for a strike. Turner 1 for 3. He hit one off Zach Wheeler's chest for an infield hit after Wheeler had retired his first 11 batters. Then he flied out deep to center his last time up. Robert Gazelman staying ready if needed in the Mets bullpen. And Turner lifts this one to shallow center, and Jackson ambles in. 1 out. So Lugo's faced 4 and retired 4.
First baseman number 13, Max.
And now Max Muncy, who hit a 2-run homer against Wheeler in the 4th. Ball that still may not have come down. His 32nd home run. Wheeler allowed 2 home runs. The 2-run shot to Muncy, a solo homer to Bellinger, but only 3 hits over 7 innings against Wheeler, who walked 2 and struck out 9. And now Lugo 2 outs to get to preserve Wheeler's 10th win. And Muncy takes a strike on the inside, 0-1. Friday night, Mets and Phillies at Citi Field. Steven Matz against Aaron Nola. Grounded into the shift. McNeil in front of it. 2 out. So Lugo making it look easy. 5 up and 5 down, and now the Dodgers are down to their final out. And Cody Bellinger coming up. So the Mets haven't done much to support DeGrom this year. Do you think they'll have it in their minds to support him by having a big night against Nola Friday night?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that if you're part of a team, you are, obviously aware that it's Nola and Scherzer and DeGrom, and you'd like to put a beating on Nola if you could. Absolutely. Now that'll be easier said than done.
Nola looked great against the Mets in that 5-game series that the Mets played against the Phillies recently. Mets took 3 out of 5, but Nola had a great night. 1-0 to Bellinger, and a fastball for a strike. 1-1.
Well, we spent the last 5 starts. Most of the questions have been asked, will the Mets play a better defense behind DeGrom to try to help him? Well, maybe it's their own offense that could help him the most.
Bellinger hits one into the shift. There's Rosario. He double clutches. Low throw. Wilmer digs it out, and the ball game is over. Seth Lugo 6 up and 6 down to close it out, and the Mets take 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles as they rack up 14 hits and beat the Dodgers 7-3. Zach Wheeler gets his 10th win, and the Mets finish off a 5-4 road trip.
Well, I want to say they made this look easy, but they got a lot of opportune hits. The Dodgers did not play a good game defensively. Zach Wheeler just kept being Zach Wheeler as he's been in the second half, 7-1 now. And the Mets take 2 out of the 3 from a team that's trying to go to the postseason.
So the Dodgers for the moment fall a game out of first place in the West. The game summary presented by Jim Beam. Wheeler allowed 3 hits over 7 innings, struck out 9 for the win. Mets kept racking up the hits. They had 6 players with multiple hit games. 3 more hits for Ahmed Rosario tonight, and the Mets win this one 7-3. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats.